Namaste, good day. Welcome to Ahimsa Life. I'm Regina, and in today's installment of I Have MS, Now What? We are going to continue looking at our feet and working our way up the legs to the core muscles for some great strengthening exercises. So first, make sure that you have the clearance from your doctor that you can exercise, whether it's this exercise program or any exercise program. Number two, make sure that as we work, you're always working within your limits. So if you are in an exacerbation or just coming out of one, listen to your body. If your body's telling you to stop, this is too intense, either try to just lessen the intensity level, and I will be showing you exercises for different intensities, different abilities. So you can step back a little bit or just take a seat. So for today's class, you're going to need 2 chairs, and if you're still totally mobile, you have no issues, I still want you to get the 2 chairs because we're being kind to ourselves. The second thing is grab yourself a belt. So if you have a yoga belt, perfect. If not, this one is just from a house coat, something that we're going to be able to utilize for some of our exercises. And the other thing that you need is preferably a yoga block because they're a nice size. If you don't have a yoga block, then a nice big heavy book, and you do want something a little thicker because this is going to be placed between our legs to activate our inner thigh muscles. So that's what you're going to need for class. Hopefully you have done the videos on breath work as well as my foot video. And if you have, please try to do those before class, before this class. We want to get in touch with our diaphragmatic breath, and because the diaphragmatic breath helps us in our exercises, it also helps us relax, get out of that fight or flight response, and it helps our different systems in our body. So definitely do the diaphragmatic breath video. And then our feet. I did do a video a few days ago on our feet, and those of us who have MS, our feet tend to be an issue, whether we have poor circulation, they're cold and blue, whether we have too much sensation or no sensation, or sometimes a little crazy, too much when you're just stepping on a carpet and it feels like needles, and meanwhile somebody could be jabbing in your foot and you don't feel it at all. I know that's one of my issues. So do the video for your feet, because we are going to be focusing a lot of attention on our feet. Our feet are our primary way that our brain and our body knows where we are in space and time. It's all the little nerve endings in our feet that help us stay balanced and strong. So we want to work these little tootsies. So if you have done all that, or if you just want to pop right in, we're going to start with our mountain pose. And we'll start in a seated mountain. You want to have your feet about hip distance apart, and the feet are parallel to the outer edges of my mat, which means that the big toes kind of come in a little bit. You want to firmly press those feet down, so we want to press the mounts, the fleshy part of the foot under the toe and the heel, and lift the toes up, and this can be an issue as well, so just work it as best you can. Really spread the toes, and then clench the toes and spread the toes. Wake up from the feet up. Spread, and what's crazy is I end up spreading my fingers at the same time, so try to relax the fingers and just work the toes. It's like your whole body gets involved when something is a little difficult, and sometimes your face could get all scrunched up. So just a few more, and then place them down, and place each toe down individually if you can, and if you can't, just imagine them going down one at a time. And then sit up nice and tall. Bring the block between your thighs, and you want to be able to have an inner rotation of the thighs so that you're grasping that block. Both sit bones are evenly pressed into the seat, and we're sitting nice and tall. Close your eyes. We're just going to come into ourselves with those smooth diaphragmatic breath. So we're thinking about our rib cage being in alignment with the bottom of our pelvis so the two diaphragms can work well together. As we breathe in, the lung diaphragm moves down, the organs in our belly are squeezed, the pelvic floor moves down, and on an exhale, there's a lift of the pelvic floor, the organs move back up as that diaphragm moves up, and then the lung diaphragm moves up, and then we emit the stale CO2. And we want to make sure the out breath is slow and it's not forced. You barely want to feel it if you had your finger underneath your nose, because we don't want to get rid of too much CO2. CO2 is important to our digestive system, our blood, and the ability for the oxygen to get to the different cells of our body. Just a few more breaths. We're just squeezing that block. And then we're going to bring the block into a little bit bigger position, and then we're just going to actively squeeze in and out. Squeezing. We want to work these thigh muscles. We want to keep strong. So if you are just coming out of a exacerbation or you're still in one, it's important to still move and work. I'm a firm believer if you don't use it, you'll lose it. On a really bad day, yeah, I will take it easy, but I still do my yoga. I'll do my yoga in a yin fashion. So it's on the mat, it's supported, and it's working the breath and slow movements of the body. But it's important that we keep moving because it doesn't take long for the fascia, which is, and I'm still clenching that block, we're still working here. It's important for the fascia, which is like a netting around our whole body and our organs, to stay pliable. And how do we do that? Well, with movement and by making sure we're well hydrated. And it doesn't take long for it to stiffen, and that's when pain can set in, lack of movement. It's harder to move, so want to make sure that fascia is getting exercised, and it doesn't have to be huge movements to keep it supple. Couple more, and then if you are able to stand without any issues, then we're going to stand, and you can also then do it here. Just a few breaths. We're just going to stand nice and tall, and you can continue sitting and just working those thighs. And then we're just going to let go and bring that down. The next position is, if you are unable to stand, you're going to sit with your legs wide apart, and you're going to take the belt, you're going to bring it around the outer thighs, and you want to watch that your shoulders don't get involved. So our hands are holding this belt, but we want to keep the shoulders away from our ears. And then you're just going to simply press the outer thighs into that belt as if you're trying to split the belt opening wider, but the belt is holding your legs in place. So if you are unable to stand, continue here. And if you can stand, we're going to come stand with our feet wider than our hips. Not too far apart, you still want to have balance, and the toes out. We have the whole foot engaged, so again the mounts and the heels, the toes pressed down, standing nice and tall. Our belly button is towards our spine. We're still having those deep diaphragmatic breaths. And you can take hold of your chair. Just watch that you're not grasping it and coming out of alignment. It's just there for some support. And the chair behind you, if you get tired or slightly off balance, you have that there to sit down. You're going to stand nice and tall, and you're going to watch. We're going to bend our knees, and we are making sure that they're coming over our two big toes. So we're going to bend down on an exhale and inhale, rise. And it's not necessarily a big move, so you could just be here. Okay, if you're super stiff, just start small. Watch that you're not coming down and letting these knees come in. You don't want to hurt our knees. And watch that they're not going over past our toes. Okay, so those two things don't do. I'm just showing you. So again, keeping nice and tall and erect. Just working these thighs. If you're on the chair and you haven't stopped, then give yourself a break. Always be kind and listen to your body. Now, if you have been working out and you're strong, you can continue to do this. And what we can do is we can come down and take a breath cycle here, and then rise. And then exhale down, take a breath cycle, and rise. Just one more time. And then shake it out. So we've created some tension. You want to make sure you shake it out before we go to the next exercise. So the next thing we're going to do, if you're seated, you're going to sit with your feet hip distance apart. We're just going to come up onto our toes, and then our heels, toes, heels. So you're going to keep moving there. We're going to do the same thing. You can come up onto our toes, and you're not concerned about how high you're going. So if you can barely lift the heels, you're just lightening off the heels, then that's fine. So we're just going to come up on the toes and down. Very lightly down on the heels. Try not to press into the heels. We're just activating the toes, bringing some energy there, working the calves and shins, the quads. Everything is moving here. Again, making sure that core is engaged. Now, if you were sitting, you're going toe heel. It's a lot harder to do that when you're standing, so we're just working on toes first. And then for our heels, we're just going to bring, if you're standing, just bring your foot out, toes to the nose, heels pressing down, slight bend to the knee, and just stretch it out. And you can pump here if you'd like. And change to the other foot. And then you can do a few pumps. And then we're going to work our core activation. So from a seated position, we're going to do the same move. So if you are having a really bad exacerbation, you can't lift your foot, you're strictly going to put your hands on top of the thighs, and you're going to imagine that you're lifting that foot. So you're just going to lighten the foot like it's trying to get up to the ceiling, and then press it down, and you can feel that motion in the quadriceps. Keep that belly engaged. That's the most important part, is this nice upright positioning. We're working the core. So just lightening. If you can do a little bit more, you're just going to lift a few inches and down, and a few inches and down. This is working the whole leg, but we're actually, if you put your hands on your belly, you can feel the belly muscles working. And we're not going up high. Okay, this is momentum. And yeah, it's movement, but it's not working the core or the legs with strength. Now, if you can stand, you can use the chair for support. Again, make sure you're not pushing down and coming out of alignment. I'm just going to raise one foot at a time to really, MS moment, to really work the leg and the stomach muscles and to tire them out. Have a stompy foot rather than a ballerina toe, so we're not coming down toe first. And then change to the other side. Making sure again that you're in alignment. And I have much more difficulty on this side. The MS has affected me more. So this leg is actually strong and this one's weak, but you'd think this would be easier being standing on my strong leg, but it actually is harder. And we want to make sure too, so if you, my neurologist always says, we want to balance, and sometimes that stiffness we develop actually helps us be a little stronger on our feet. Kind of, maybe it sounds counterintuitive, but if you're weak, then obviously we can't stand tall, right? So that sometimes spasmy leg is actually a good thing, believe it or not. And then shake it out again. And then we're just going to, so if you're in the chair, you're going to bring your legs a little further up, and we're just going to create little circles. So continue doing that. You can do one leg at a time or go back and forth, and we can do this standing. So we want to maintain, you might have a little bit of a bend, that way you have a little bit more space, and I'm kicking the back of the chair. We want to keep this movement in our joints. So up and over and back. And again, you could just do it on the floor here as well. So if you're having a day where you're having issues with your balance, just keep it down. You can do it, as I said, in the chair, seated. We just want to maintain what we have, and then slowly working towards strengthening, but always start small and kind and loving to ourselves. And just shake it out. And last one. Now, unfortunately, I haven't figured out a way of doing this from a seat, but we are going to practice a chair pose, again, strengthening the core muscles and the legs. We're going to bring our toes together, if you can. Again, you could do this a little bit wider apart. And we're going to pretend that our chair on the back is a toilet and it's really dirty and we don't want to sit down on it. So standing nice and upright, and I'm going to do this without this chair because it takes me out of alignment. You take a breath in, and then exhale. You're bending from the knees and bringing the back of the seat down towards the chair seat and then up. So I'm going to do it from the side, so standing tall, and then exhaling, bending from the hips, bringing the seat down. My back is staying nice and straight, and rising. Exhale, come down. Inhale, up. Only work to your ability level. So if you're on the seat, what you can be doing is just coming forward a little bit, but keep that belly in. It's not quite the same, but we're just coming into a little bit of a forward fold, elongating the back. Keep from the tailbone to the crown of the head, you're keeping nice and long. And we're moving from these bones, so I'm not collapsing, I'm not rounding. And give me one more. And last but not least, spread the feet apart, and we're just going to come onto the outside of our foot, slowly rotating to the inside of our foot. So again, this can be done in the chair. This is great. Call this the Charleston. Or you can do it standing. Just be careful, be mindful again about that positioning, and either one works just as well. We're just trying to get some movement in our feet. Do a few more here. And what's nice is when you're in this chair, you can actually bring the knees together and then wide out. Inner foot, outer foot, and spread. And watch those hands. Did they get involved? Did your face get involved? And then bring it to stillness. So thank you for joining me in this practice today. I encourage you to do it as often as you can. Keep the strength in the legs and the core. Maintain it. Develop it. Our legs, our feet, and our cores are what's key to keeping us safe and able to balance and walk properly. Our gait is important. So have a great day. Make sure that you like this video if you did. Leave me your comments, and I thank you for, I had a comment on needing more for the feet, so I incorporated a little bit of foot stuff in this today. Yeah, and share it with your friends so that they can also find me on YouTube. Have a great day, and I will see you soon. Namaste.